What's up everybody, it's Matt from Peter Glenn, and in this video we're going to show you how to buy the right wakeboard boots for you, your riding style, and your skill level. Let's check this out. So when you're wakeboarding, whether you're behind a boat or if you're riding a cable park, you're gonna need something to hold your feet to the board, and that's where the bindings come into play. Sometimes they call them boots, sometimes they call them bindings. Essentially, they're the same thing. And there are a few companies out there that actually do have a few systems where there is a boot and a binding that go together, kind of similar to a snowboard setup. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna buy them the same as you do any of these. So right off the bat, when you are buying a pair of bindings, look at the prices. Make sure you're not looking at sale prices, we're looking at retail prices. But when you do compare boots and you spend more, if you're looking at a cheaper pair of boots, you're looking at a more expensive pair of boots, the more expensive boot is 9 times out of 10, actually more than 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be the higher end boot for more experienced riders. And another thing you're gonna notice is that those higher priced, higher end boots, the size ranges on them are gonna be far less than the size ranges on the less expensive boots. Now the reason for that is that the less expensive boots, they are for those beginner riders. They're designed to get you out there, get you wakeboarding, get you learning, and just have some fun, but you're probably not looking for a ton of performance. What's more important to you is just having something that's comfortable, but also having something that's probably gonna fit you and it's gonna fit your friends or your family as well. So when you are checking out some of these less expensive boots, just by looking at them, some of the things that you're gonna notice is one, they're probably gonna be a little bit shorter, and also the outside of the boot, there's gonna be a little less going on. This one doesn't really have a lot of big panels on it. There's not a lot of thickness to the boot. It's a little bit thinner in general overall. And this is basically having something that's going to stretch to fit a little bit bigger foot, but still when a little smaller foot goes in there, you're going to be able to crank it down and really tighten it down so it's nice and safe. The other thing you'll notice too is that the lacing systems or the Velcro or however you tighten the boot up, it's going to be a little bit more basic. Sometimes it'll be a bungee cord as opposed to a little bit stiffer lace. And that's because these boots are meant to just give you a good fit, and they're not really there to give you high-end performance. The performance they're going to give you is for that of a beginner rider, or maybe somebody who's a beginner intermediate that's looking to get a little bit better. Another thing you're gonna notice too is a lot of these are gonna be open toe. You're not gonna have a closed toe on these things because again, you're gonna need a bigger foot, a smaller foot. You're gonna want everything to fit in there properly. And when you close the toe off, it doesn't allow this piece over the top of your foot to be tightened down properly and keep your foot in no matter what size foot is inside the boot. So then when we start looking at some of the higher end boots, right off the bat, you're gonna notice that closed toe as opposed to that open toe we were just talking about on the less expensive boot. So this closed toe is going to mean that it's gonna have a little bit tighter fit. It's gonna have a little bit more specific fit. This one, for instance, has about 7 different foot sizes that fit into it. This one has about 5 different foot sizes, and when you get into those really high-end boots, you're gonna be looking at maybe 3 sizes. We're talking like 10, 10 and a half, 11, or 11, 11 and a half, 12. But it is gonna be very, very specific to that boot, and you're gonna be getting a little bit more performance, and you're gonna get a little bit tighter fit because that's something that you're gonna want for a higher end style of riding. Another thing you're gonna notice is there's a lot more going on the outside of this boot. Also, when you look at the boot in general, it's gonna usually have a little bit more thickness and a little bit more stiffness overall. Again, it's all about performance. Something that's gonna give you ultimate support for when you're jumping really big, and also when you're coming down really, really hard, you're gonna want all the support you can get. And also when you're leaning on that board and you're carving harder, you're gonna need something that can push and it's not gonna mush on you when you're really, really leaning on the rope. And then also you're gonna see that little bit taller height to it too. So again, it's about getting a little bit more support up around your leg, and basically giving you that performance for when you are riding faster and harder. So obviously when we are looking at all these boots, there is a wide range. We have the really, really cheap, inexpensive boots. We have the super, super high-end boots, and we do have some that kind of blur the lines. But as you go up, and again, you spend more money, you're gonna be getting more features, you're gonna be getting less adjustability, but you're gonna be getting way, way more performance, more cushioning, you're gonna get more stiffness, you're gonna get better fit, a little bit of a combination of all of those things as you spend more money. But no matter how much your boot costs, when you are buying a pair of boots, when you are looking at the size ranges, always buy the boot that has the size range that includes your size foot. Or if your foot is a size 10, make sure that the smallest and biggest sizes are on either side of that 10. You don't want to go too small, or else your toes could be hanging off the end, or they could be crunched up in the front of the boot. You don't want to go too big because then the boot can release way, way too easily. And that's just something that's super, super dangerous. You never, ever want to ride a boot that's too big for your foot. When your foot is inside this boot, you want it to either stay in when you fall, Or if you take a hard spill, you wanna make sure that both feet are coming completely out. You don't wanna run the risk of just one foot coming out. Now that being said, a big question that we get every single year too is, hey, can I get one boot that's gonna fit all of my family? And now some companies do make boots that have very, very wide size ranges, but you definitely wanna check those and make sure that you have a boot that fits everybody in the family. If you get some little kids with some little tiny feet, if they get into a boot that's too big, again, that's very, very dangerous. Likewise, if you got some people with some really, really big feet and their foot is having a hard time going into the binding, you're gonna run the risk of one, their foot not feeling well while they're riding and being super, super uncomfortable, but also you're gonna put unnecessary wear and tear on the bindings and you're gonna end up blowing out the bindings faster than you want to. So if you are having a hard time finding one boot that can fit a super wide range of feet, don't be that surprised. You can always get two different boots. The hole patterns on the boards, they're pretty standard nowadays, and you can buy two different sets of boots with two different size ranges that'll cover, let's say, all the way up to a 14, and you can actually swap those out in the boat. It's very, very easy to do, and sometimes it's just a thumb screw, and sometimes it's a screwdriver, but swapping those things out is one, a lot safer, and two, you're gonna get a lot better performance. People are gonna have more fun and be more comfortable riding if they have a boot that fits them right. And one last thing that we should note also is that back in about 2012, a lot of the companies switched over to a 6-inch hole pattern. Before then, some companies had a 7-inch, some companies had an 8-inch. There wasn't a standard. And basically what that is it's the measurement from this hole on this side of the binding to this hole on the other side of the binding. So if you are buying a brand new set of boots and you have a board that's pre-2012, you might want to measure the holes and make sure that you have a 6-inch hole pattern. And if you don't, you're probably going to end up needing a new board because you're not going to be able to find bindings that will fit it, because nowadays 6-inch is the standard. All right, so hopefully that helped you out a little bit. And as you can see, when you're checking out the boots, just start with the pricing. Look at the skill level of the people who are gonna be riding it, and you can basically base it off of that. If you're a higher end rider, you're gonna wanna spend a little bit more money to get a boot that's gonna hold up to the performance you're gonna throw at it. If you are a little bit more beginner rider and you have a lot of people that are gonna wanna ride the same board, then you're gonna wanna get a boot that has a little bit more adjustability to it. And there's no reason to be spending tons of money on these higher end boots. Those riders are not gonna benefit from the performance. And honestly, if you have that super wide range of feet, you could probably buy 2 pairs of these for the same price as one of these. So you're not gonna be saving any money in the long run. But if you got any questions about what we talked about in the video, definitely leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer your questions. We wanna make sure we can get you into some rad gear, but most importantly, we wanna make sure that it's gonna fit you, it's gonna fit your riding style, but it's also gonna fit your needs as well. Also make sure to like, subscribe, and definitely get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop, and head over to peterglenn.com, grab yourself some boots that are gonna fit you properly and get out and ride, because any day of riding is a good day of riding.